There have been a ton of top speedrunners that have been on great paced runs. Sub 12, sub 11, even sub 10, but very few runners can say that they have been on pace to beat the world record. 8 months ago, when Brentilda set the first world record of 9 minutes and 36 seconds, speedrunners were shocked, astounded even, by the massive feat that Brentilda had set. 8 months later, there has been about 25 runs out of thousands of runners grinding the category every day that have almost beaten the world record, but just haven't made it to that point, with Illumina entering the end at 7 minutes and 50 seconds, and Crooks playing it risky, going in for the zero cycle, costing him the world record. But in today's video, I'm gonna go through possibly the worst way to lose a world record, and 2 runners that unfortunately had this happen to them. This is the story of how the fastest pace runs ever in Minecraft speedrunning history were lost to one simple mistake. Before I get into the 2 runs, let me explain who the 2 runners are that got these crazy times. ChrisXD and Vartel are so unknown in the speedrunning community that you have probably never heard of them until this video, with ChrisXD having 105 subscribers on YouTube and his 1.16 RSGPB being 13 minutes and 20 seconds, and Vartel only having 50 subscribers on YouTube with no record of a completed speedrun. So with these runners being so small, can we even confirm that these runs are legit? Well, it's pretty accepted in the speedrunning community that the runs are legit, so it's pretty unlikely that the runs were faked. So with that, I'm gonna get into the 2 runs, starting with ChrisXD's 809 end entry. Chris loads into the world and immediately sees a landlocked shipwreck and a ruined portal. He runs over to the shipwreck and loots it, containing 9 pieces of iron ingots. He then runs over to a nearby tree and then collects some wood and runs over to the ruined portal. He loots the portal chest, and the chest contains a piece of flint, a golden shovel, and an enchanted golden apple. Since it doesn't look like Chris is getting any food in the overworld, this enchanted golden apple has to last him the entire run. Knowing that, Chris proceeds to get some stone and then crafts a pickaxe, a bucket, an axe, and some flint and steel. Lucky enough, the ruined portal happens to have enough lava in it to complete the portal, so that's what Chris does, building and finishing the portal and entering the nether at 1 minute and 55 seconds. Upon entering the nether, Chris lowers his FOV and then spins around in a circle, looking for a spike in his E-counter. This is known as E-raying, and it allows you to find a bastion super easily. Using this strategy, he works out that there is a bastion pretty close by, so he runs in the direction of the spike in the E-counter and then quickly notices a bastion. But that's not all that Chris notices. Off to the side, Chris notices a structure-like thing with reddish-maroni colour to it. Unfortunately, Chris can't work out if the structure is a fortress or not, due to the fact of the red nether fog, as well as the netherrack blending in with the box-like structure. With knowing that he could possibly have a bastion in his hands, he runs and enters into the bastion and does a top-down manhunt route. After getting all the piglins into a trading hole, looting the double chest, and accidentally turning narrator on, Chris eats his enchanted golden apple. Being the only food he's managed to obtain in the entire run, he's counting on maybe finding some hoglins to get some pork chops from, or maybe some food after entering back through to the overworld. He then does the PIDAR strategy to double check that what he saw at the beginning of the run was in fact a fortress, which it was, so Chris collects his trades and then peels out of the bastion to quickly spot the fortress, peeling over a large lava lake and entering into the fortress. Upon entering the fortress, Chris spends about 40 seconds searching around, looking for blazes, and then finds a small group of blazes, as well as 2 nearby blaze spawners. Once he kills those stray blazes, he goes to one spawner and gets a few rods from them, and then goes to the second spawner and then gets the rest of his rods from that spawner. Then he builds his nether exit portal and then blind travels out of the nether. After entering back through to the overworld, he sees that he spawned inside of a shipwreck, so he exits the shipwreck and then goes to some nearby land where he triangulates how far the stronghold is from him, and after doing some good triangulation, he works out that the stronghold is less than 50 blocks away from him. He runs over to a nearby chunk and then digs at block 4-4 of the chunk, so he digs straight into the starter staircase of the stronghold. Once he enters into the stronghold, he navigates around that stronghold for about 20 seconds and then finds the portal room, filling in the Eyes of Ender into the end portal frames and entering into the end at 8 minutes and 9 seconds. Once he pearls into the end, he throws a pearl to the end island and then runs over to the center, then sets up his one cycle, then runs off to the side and goes to craft beds, and unfortunately the worst thing that could have possibly happened happens. If you didn't notice what happened, Chris unfortunately didn't have any wood, not allowing him to craft any beds to one cycle the dragon with. Since where he blind travelled ended up in a desert, he couldn't collect any wood from that desert since no trees generate there. But in the stronghold there was a library, so he could have possibly gotten some wood from in the library. As well as that, he could have gathered some wood at the start of the run, but unfortunately I guess he just didn't think about that. This sure is definitely an unfortunate way to lose such a fast-paced run, but what if I told you that an even faster-paced run would have been lost? Let me get into how the fastest pace run to ever happen in Minecraft speedrunning history was lost, and how it could have never even been. Our runner Vartel spawns into the world and does a strategy called Mapless Treasure. Using this, he can locate a buried treasure chest without even needing a map. Once he works out where the buried treasure is, he mines to it and loots it, getting 12 pieces of iron, 2 diamonds, some fish for food, and some TNT to blow up some wood and get some blocks. He uses 2 pieces of iron to craft a pressure plate, and then blows up the TNT next to the tree so he gets some wood as well as some blocks. Using the wood, he makes a crafting table as well as some sticks, then uses those to make the essential tools like a pickaxe, an axe, a shovel, a bucket, some doors, and a boat. Vartel then heads off to the ocean and sails over to a magma ravine, then swimming to the bottom of the ocean and getting some flint. Then he goes down into the magma ravine and builds his nether portal and enters the nether at 2 minutes and 1 second. In the nether, Vartel spawns in a basalt delta, which is kind of bad since bastions can't spawn in those biomes, but even with that, he still E-rays a bastion that isn't far away from him. He heads off in the direction of where the E counter spikes and then sees a bastion not too far away, and he works out that is a treasure type bastion. He then performs his bastion route, getting gold blocks off the bridge of the bastion, then luring the piglins straight to the top of the rampart, getting them into a hole and then trading with them, then gathering up the rest of the gold blocks in the bastion and then giving those to the piglins to trade with. He then goes down to the lower floor of the ramparts and then loots the chests in the bastion, getting things like obsidian, armor, and string. He then goes back up to the top floor and then checks his trades and sees that he has everything he needs, then immediately leaves the bastion and spots the fortress. He pearls over to the fortress and enters it sub 5 minutes, which is an extremely good pace. He then runs around the fortress for about a minute, killing blazers for blaze rods and avoids wither skeletons, with the final drop rate being 6 blaze rods for 7 blaze kills. He then builds up to avoid getting hit by wither skeletons, and then builds his blind travel portal while he's up there, and then exits the nether at 6 minutes and 53 seconds, being a sub 7 minute blind, which even to this day is an extremely good time. When he enters back through to the overworld, he spawns above an ocean, and then throws an Eye of Ender and follows it that direction. He sails in that direction for about 30 seconds and then sails past an exposed stronghold and almost misses it, which could have been what killed the run. He then jumps out of his boat and swims down to the exposed stronghold and mines into the portal room, and then fills in the end portal frames with Eyes of Ender and enters into the end at 7 minutes and 46 seconds. after this insane blind, the nerves would be astronomically high, and it is definitely fair with this pace that Vartel is on, pearling to the end island and then pausing for over a minute of the run to calm his nerves down. And after that, he runs to the center of the end island and sets up his one cycle, then runs off to the side, crafting 4 beds and a respawn anchor to use as explosives to fight the ender dragon, and then running off to the edge of the end island and accidentally misclicking a few keys on his keyboard, causing the worst possible thing on a good paced Minecraft speedrun to happen. At this point, the run is over, it's not verifiable, and if that wasn't enough, resetting the world caused the end island to reset, removing the one cycle setup, leaving it impossible to complete the run. But in reality, the run was unverifiable from the start, with no game audio and an illegal mod, making the run, unfortunately, unverifiable. It's so unfortunate seeing such fast-paced runs lost in such easily avoidable ways, but unfortunately, this is where I'm going to have to end the video for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I really hope I see you in the next video. If you want to see the runners, I'll link their channels in the description, and I really recommend you go check them out. And while you're at it, consider subscribing to me as well, as I would really appreciate it. And I also want to thank you on the performance on the last video. It's done super well, and I can't thank you guys enough. And with that, I would like to thank you for watching and hope you enjoyed. I hope I see you in the next video. Goodbye everyone.